Your mic, there you go.
Recording in progress.
Good evening to everyone. The meeting of the Committee on Accountability, Finance, and Personnel of the Board of School Directors will please come to order. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Director Carr,
Present.
Director O'Halloran,
Present.
Director Peterson,
Present.
Director Taylor,
In attendance.
and Chair Herndon.
Present.
We have 5 members present.
Thank you. I will now ask the Secretary to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Members, please mute your devices.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will now have an announcement regarding interpretation for the Spanish-speaking members of our audience.
Madam Chair, while the interpreter is logging on, if you can continue in your process, and once the interpreter is on, we can definitely make the announcement.
Okay. Pursuant to Board Rule 1.06, this meeting is being conducted virtually. Board members may be participating in person from the Central Services Building. In order to allow as much public access and participation as possible, this meeting is being broadcast via live stream on the MPS website and on the MPS YouTube stream, the links to which may be found on the MPS website on the broadcast page. We will now move to our items of business. As stated in the public notice, individuals who wish to speak were required to register in advance. I ask those waiting to speak to please remain on the platform until you're called upon. Although we are on a virtual platform, we will still follow Robert's Rules of Order, which dictate that all comments should be directed to the chair. Also, any questions or requests, including those from board members or the administration, are to be directed toward the chair, who will determine the most efficient way to address them. As always, written testimony will be accepted for transmittal to the board. Written comments may be submitted to the board via the Office of Board Governance, P.O. Box 2181, Milwaukee 53201. 2181 or fax to 414-475-8071 or email it to governance@milwaukee.k12.wi.us. Finally, for our listening audience, if you wish to access the evening's agenda items and attachments online, you may do so by visiting the meetings, agendas, and minutes page on the MPS website and choosing online agendas. At this point, Madam Secretary, are we ready for the interpretation services?
Madam Chair, we are working with communications to determine next steps, but we can continue until they join us. Thank you.
Okay. Well, we'll begin. Madam Secretary, item 1, please.
Item number 1 is action on monthly personnel matters, action on classified personnel transactions, action on certificated appointments, action on leaves of absence, the report on certificated resignations and classified retirements, and the affirmative action report. The administration recommends that the board approve the promotions, appointments, and leaves as listed in the attachments to this item to be effective upon board approval.
Thank you. Will the administration please present this item?
Yes, Chair Herndon and members of the committee, Keith Mosley, Superintendent of Schools. We're asking for your approval of the monthly personnel and reporting items before you. Adria Maddaleni is here with me this evening, and we're prepared to answer any questions that you may have regarding this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, do we have any public comment on this item?
Madam Chair, we have no request for public testimony on this item.
Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions on this item? Director Peterson.
Thank you. I was looking at the resignation retirements list, and my question, as it often is how does this compare to last year in terms of numbers and purposes of retirement or purposes of leaving?
Administration.
Chair Herndon, Director Peterson, members of the committee, Adria Maddaleni, Chief Human Resources Officer. To give you an overall perspective of where we are, as of right now, for the month of May, we have 87 teachers that are scheduled to resign or retire this month. And we have, let's see, we have about 35 paras that are scheduled to resign this month as well. When I look and compare it to last year at this time, we had about 54 teachers that were scheduled to resign in the month of May. And then on the classified side, we had 41 classified individuals scheduled to resign. If you look at the month of June, because people have already been submitting their resignations and retirements for the month of June, we have 96 teachers that are scheduled to resign. 47 are scheduled to retire. And then on the classified side, we have 13 individuals scheduled to resign and 15 scheduled to retire. Compare it to last year, we had in the month of June, 94 teachers that were scheduled to resign, 45 scheduled to retire. And then we had 36 classified staff members resign in the month of June, and then 25 retire in the month of June. I would say overall, during the pandemic, the last 2 years or so, we have seen a decline in the resignation. So I want to say FY20, FY21, we saw a dip in the resignations and retirements. And now this year they've perked up, and now we're getting similar to the levels of resignations and retirements as FY19, the last full year we had in place before the pandemic.
Thank you. Is there any follow-up on that?
Yes, if I know this is premature, but if ultimately in subsequent months we can learn if our incentives to keep people had any impact. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more responses or questions from committee? Director O'Halloran.
I would like clarification if I would be able to make a motion to accept administration's recommendation on this item with a report to come back to Director Peterson's point about, just follow up to see if the incentives, I'm not sure at what point that would be inappropriate, like when we would have enough data to say if this was an effective incentive to stay. And I would welcome the input from administration on that, but I do think it would be interesting information to bring back to the board.
Thank you, administration. Your response?
Chair Herndon, Director O'Halloran, members of the committee, we would be happy to provide a report as to what the incentives, what their impact is. I know The plan is that the incentive, like longevity bonuses, which I believe you're referring to, will be implemented or paid out in October. We will be requesting information from staff before that time to get them to acknowledge and accept it, indicating they're committing to stay another year. But we should be able to have a number in October for sure of exactly how many people have taken it. It's also a good time because September and October tend to be months where people resign and retire. I mean, I say more resign, leave the district at that point, beginning of the school year. You kind of see a peak those 2 months. So that would give us a better vision of what that longevity bonus did for us.
Thank you so much. Director O'Halloran, is that acceptable or do you have more follow-up?
No, that would be acceptable with me.
Thank you very much. Now, Madam Secretary, I understand Director O'Halloran included a motion.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the committee, the motion that I have is that Director O'Halloran moves approval of the administration's recommendation relative to the monthly personnel matters with a request for a report to come back to the board with information on the impact of on the resignations and retirements of the longevity incentive by the November board cycle. Is that correct?
Yes.
That is correct. Okay. Is there any further discussion? I don't see any hands. With that, will the secretary please call the roll?
On the motion as read into the record, Director Carr,
Aye.
Director O'Halloran,
Aye.
Director Peterson,
Aye.
Director Taylor,
Aye.
and Chair Herndon.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes. The motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item is item number 2, action on recommended administrative appointments, promotions, reassignments and reclassifications, salary increases and decreases, and limited term employment contracts exceeding 60 days. The administration recommends that the board, 1, authorize the individuals to be promoted, reassigned, or reclassified to receive the decreases or increases in salary, and be appointed to the classifications indicated in the attachments to this item to be effective as indicated. And 2, approve the LTE contracts exceeding 60 days pursuant to administrative policy 6.23, parent 4, parent B, to be effective as indicated.
Thank you. Will administration please present this item?
Chair Herndon and members of the committee, we are requesting your approval of this item as it outlines this month's administrative appointments, promotion, reclassifications, salary adjustments, and LTE contracts. Adrian Matalini is with me this evening, and we're prepared to answer any questions that you may have in regards to this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions on this item? Director O'Halloran?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we forward this to the full board without recommendation.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, at this point, I'll recuse myself and move the gavel to our Vice Chair.
So noted. Okay, Director Herndon has recused herself from this item, and the Vice Chair. Okay, there you go.
Who is the vice chair? Am I the vice chair?
Madam Madam Chair, I believe you are. Let me
Okay.
just double check.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I thought it was Director Carr still.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
It is Director Carr. It is
Okay.
Director Carr, but I don't
All
think
right.
she is on the
She was just.
platform at the moment.
So, I mean, how does it go after that, Madam? Do
So
anyone
any
of-
member of the board can accept the gavel.
The gavel has been passed.
Two.
Any other committee members? wish to
Director
speak?
Taylor.
Director
So
Taylor,
noted.
just go for it.
Right. Gavel, virtual gavel is passed. I'll act as chair. Any other committee members would like to speak on this item? I don't know where it was, sorry. Administration, would you like to speak on this item?
The administration
Taylor,
has
Vice Chair Taylor.
presented and the item is with the committee.
I thought I saw them doing this. Sorry,
Mhm.
that's why. Okay, that's why it's like, okay. We need a motion on this item, please. Director O'Halloran.
I move that we forward this to the full board without recommendation.
Okay, the motion on the floor is to forward this to the full board without recommendations. Any committee members have any comments on the motion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, Secretary, can you call the roll, please?
On Director O'Halloran's motion to forward this item to the board without recommendation. Director Carr is not on the platform. Director O'Halloran,
Aye.
Director Peterson,
Aye.
and Chair Taylor.
Aye.
Oh, hold on one second. Director Carr? Oh, she's connecting to
Let's
the
connect.
item. Chair Taylor.
Thank you. If you would like to call her one more time, I think it's connected. Just
Director Carr? Hi, Director Carr. Were you able to hear the item that was before you? You were. Okay.
Wait, yes, we're voting, we're doing the roll call.
Yes, on the administrative appointments, Director O'Halloran's motion is to forward this item to the full board without recommendation.
Yes, aye.
Great. And Chair Taylor.
aye.
That's 4 ayes. The motion passes.
4 ayes, the motion, 4 ayes and 1 abstention, correct, Madam Clerk?
No, Director
Director
Taylor, I'm
Taylor.
sorry, Director,
Doesn't matter.
Chair Taylor, Director Herndon has recused herself from consideration of this item.
Oh, okay, thank you. The virtual gavel is being now passed back to Director Herndon, who is Chair.
So
Herndon at this
noted.
time.
Thank you very much. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Just noting the gavel pass. The next item is item number 3, is action on a request for approval of job descriptions for the Director 1 remote work, Manager 1 health services, and a civil engineer. The recommendation is that the board approve the job descriptions as attached to this item.
Will the administration please present this item?
Chair Herndon and members of the committee, we're requesting your approval. The job description before you, the Director 1 remote work position, is critical if we are going to keep pace with the virtual directions that is upon us. The Manager 1 health services and the civil engineer position are necessary to keep pace with the growing needs of our district as it relate to healthcare and facilities needs. Adrian Matalini is with me this evening, and between the two of us, we can answer any questions that you may have in regards to this item. Thank you.
Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Director O'Halloran.
Thank you, Chair Herndon. I believe we had another position come through in regards to remote work fairly recently. Is this an updated? Can you just explain to me how this would be new, different, or supplement what we currently have?
Administration.
Chair Herndon, Director O'Halloran, Adrian Matalini, Chief Human Resources Officer. We do not have another remote work position in the district. This will be our first position, and the sole focus of this director will be to develop a remote work policy and procedure for the district and for us to implement as we move forward. As I've indicated before, we have seen ourselves losing employees and losing candidates based on the fact that we do not have a remote work policy and we don't have flexibility in that area. So in order for us to remain competitive, we need to have this person in place where they can kind of develop that and kind of steer us as an organization as we move into this new frontier.
Thank you. Are there any more questions or comments from committee? Madam Secretary, do we have any comments from the public on this item?
Madam Chair, we have no comments from the public on this item, but I did receive notification that we did have a piece of written testimony from item number 2, the administrative appointments, the item previously voted on. And that would be the only piece of testimony that we have for tonight's agenda.
Oh, okay, thank you. What is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? Director O'Halloran?
I move approval of administration's recommendation.
Is there any further I'm sorry?
Oh, sorry, we don't second now, do we? I
Ma'am.
apologize.
Okay. Yes, Madam Secretary?
Oh, Madam Chair, I was just answering Director Carr. We did not need a second on this item.
Okay. All right. I just heard your voice, so I wanted to make sure I gave you an opportunity. Okay. So will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director O'Halloran's motion to move approval of the administration's request for the job descriptions for the Director 1, Remote Work, Manager 1, Health Services, and Civil Engineer. On the motion by Director O'Halloran for approval, Director Carr.
Aye.
Director O'Halloran,
Aye.
Director Peterson,
Aye.
Director Taylor,
Aye.
and Chair Herndon.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes. The motion passes.
Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item is item number 4, action on approval of the staff recruitment incentives. The recommendation is that the board approve the staff incentives as presented in the attachments to this item.
Okay, will administration please present this item?
Chair Herndon and members of the committee, this evening we're asking for your approval of the recommended staff recruitment incentives. These incentives are necessary to compete with other companies and school districts across the country. The team is here with me this evening and we'll share some comments. We'll turn it over now to Adrienne Maddaleni.
Thank you. Chair Herndon, members of the committee, Adrienne Maddaleni, Chief Human Resources Officer. It has been widely publicized that this country is suffering a teacher shortage. The market is extremely competitive for teachers, and many districts have looked at financial incentives to entice teacher candidates. To help with our district's overall recruitment strategy, we are proposing that available grant funding be offered to we use to offer recruitment bonuses to new teacher hires that serve in one of our schools that have been identified for comprehensive support and improvement. These are known as CSI schools, which are eligible for federal grant funding. Specifically, we are proposing a $6,000 recruitment bonus for any new teacher hire that serves in one of our CSI schools in targeted content areas. Additionally, we are proposing a $5,000 relocation stipend for new teachers recruited out of state or internationally. The relocation bonus will reduce a financial barrier these recruits face when considering an offer from us. To further enhance the district's overall recruitment efforts, we are proposing an implementation of an employee referral program. Research suggests that referrals account for between 30 and 50% of new hires in the United States. By offering a financial incentive to current employees to refer applicants is a great way to get everyone involved in our recruitment efforts and for our employees can speak best to the benefits of working in our district. I will now turn it over to Michael Harris, Senior Director of Talent Management, to talk more about our recruitment efforts and the employee referral program.
Good evening, Chair Herndon and members of the committee. Michael Harris, Senior Director of Talent Management. So with the $6,000, I'll just start there with the incentive for the $6,000. we basically were trying to focus our efforts on retention as well. So basically looking at the $6,000, having a 3-year commitment for those new employees coming to join our team. We looked at various other urban districts to kind of see where other places were utilizing dollars, and the ranges are about $2,500 a year with no commitment for additional years. But we felt definitely that if we can hold on to our employees at least for 3 years, that would allow them to really understand the systems in which we operate and to really get comfortable with the district and really show all of the opportunities that we have to offer. So the $6,000 would definitely show a commitment on the employee's behalf to staff those schools, as Adria mentioned, the CSI schools in those hard to fill positions. Regarding the housing allowance, we know right now, like for 1 bedroom, the average rent is about $1,800. So we are connecting with the housing authority to try to make sure that we can find some affordable housing for those international and out-of-state recruits. And so we think that that would give them a nice foundation to come into the city and start fresh, because some of these individuals will be bringing family members as we recruit from these international places. Regarding the employee referral program, this would be a $250 referral bonus for referring an employee. And if they stay with the district, they would need to complete 90 days. A lot of the research out there shows that, if we're really going to enhance the employee referral program, we can't expect our employees to wait a year or 6 months before they receive the incentive. If they would refer more than one candidate, the employee would be eligible for a $500 bonus. Again, the employees that we recruit would need to stay employed at least 90 days before that payout.
Thank you so much. Madam Secretary, do we have any public comment on this item?
Madam Chair, we have no request for public testimony on this item.
Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Director Peterson, I see your hand.
Thank you. First of all, it sounds like a really good program. I hope it's successful, and we'll find out. I think we need to do this. Obviously, it's key for the success of our district. I have one question, which is in the specialty areas. I do not see mentioned bilingual. I see we're going to recruit people from Spain, Puerto Rico, Mexico, and I would hope that that's more than just world language, because if I'm not mistaken, we have openings I know we have openings in the bilingual programs, and I assume some of those openings are in the CSI schools.
Thank you, administration.
Chair Herndon, Director Peterson, members of the committee. Yes, bilingual would definitely be included in the recruitment package there.
Thank you.
So they would be then added to the specialty areas, you're saying, like another bullet point.
Chair Herndon, Director Peterson, yes, they would be included in the specialty area.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more follow-up, Director Peterson?
No.
Thank you. Director Taylor.
Thank you, and excuse my little ones back here. I'm glad to see something like this, especially when we talk about attracting and retention and doing something to help bring more individuals to MPS, and also the stipend or the referral bonus for all categories. I was looking and I made sure that I saw like the food assistants and the paras can be included too in this referral process. So I thought that was a great way of being inclusive of all staff as well too. And if there's not a motion on the floor, I'll move approval.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands. Therefore, Director O'Halloran.
Thank you. I was just hoping that we would be able to get a list of the 55 schools before the full board. I'm happy to vote in favor of this. I was just wondering which schools would have been included.
Thank you, administration. Administration,
Chair Herndon and members of the committee, we will be more than happy to get you a list of those 55 schools prior to the full board. Thank you.
okay. Director Taylor,
That was an all hand, Chairwoman.
okay. So did we have a motion, Director O'Halloran? Okay, if there's no further
I
discussion,
think Director Taylor made an emotion.
Mhm.
okay,
Yes.
I kind of lost them there. Will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Taylor's motion to approve the administration's recommendation relative to staff recruitment incentives, Director Carr,
Aye.
Director O'Halloran,
Aye.
Director Peterson,
Aye.
Director Taylor,
Aye.
and Chair Herndon.
Aye,
That's 5 ayes. The motion passes.
thank you. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item is item number 5, action on monthly facilities matters, the FMS awards of construction and professional services contracts, and the material purchase recommendation. The recommendation is that the board approve the attached construction and professional services contracts, as well as the material purchase.
Okay, will the administration please present this item?
Chair Herndon and members of the committee, we are asking for your approval of the monthly facilities matters as it relates to contracts and material purchase recommendations. Sean Kane is here with me this evening, and between the two of us, we are prepared to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? I see no hands. What is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? Director O'Halloran.
I move we approve administration's recommendation.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director O'Halloran's motion to approve the administration's recommendation relative to the monthly facilities matters. Director Carr,
Aye.
Director O'Halloran,
Aye.
Director Peterson,
Aye.
Director Taylor,
Aye.
and Chair Herndon.
Aye,
That's 5 ayes. The motion passes.
thank you. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item is item number 6. Action on a request to approve the third amendment to the lease agreement with the Milwaukee Teachers Education Center, Inc. at the 65th Street School located at 6600 West Melvina Street. The recommendation is that the board approve the third amendment to the lease agreement with MTech for the 65th Street building as outlined in the attachments to this item.
Okay, will administration please present this item?
Yes, Chair Herndon and members of the committee. This evening, we're asking for your approval, the approval of the amended lease agreement before you with the Milwaukee Teacher Education Center, Inc. Sean Kane is here with me this evening, and between the two of us, we can answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Okay, do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? I see no hands up. Madam Secretary, do we, oh, I forgot. We have no more comments for the evening,
We have
correct?
no request for public testimony on this item.
Okay, what is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? I see no hands up. Okay, Director Peterson.
I move acceptance of the administration's recommendations.
If there's, is there further discussion? We have a motion here. If not, will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Peterson's motion to approve the administration's recommendation relative to the third amendment to the lease agreement with MTech at the 65th Street School location 6600 West Melvina Street. On the motion as read, Director Carr,
Aye.
Director O'Halloran,
Aye.
Director Peterson,
Aye.
Director Taylor.
Aye, and I'll be leaving, Madam Clerk, after this one.
And Chair Herndon.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes. The motion passes.
Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, before we begin the next item, we do have our Spanish interpreter on the line. If we could make the announcement at this point.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Esta junta escolar se transmite en español para aquellas personas que lo necesiten. Para escuchar la junta escolar en español, recuerde marcar el 312-626-6799 y marcar el número de identificación o código que es el 608-130-5362. El número de identificación o código es 608-130-5362. Thank you.
Thank you.
The
Go
next
ahead, Madam
item,
Secretary.
so noted. The next item is item number 7. Action on a request to approve the 4th Amendment to the lease agreement with Banner Day Learning Corporation at the 35th Street School property located at 3517 West Cortland Avenue. The recommendation is that the board approve the attached 4th Amendment to the lease agreement with Banner Day Learning Corp. For the program located in the 35th Street School property as outlined in the attachment to this item.
Will the administration please present this item?
Chair Herndon and members of the committee, this evening, we are asking that you approve the amended lease agreement before you for Banner Day Learning Corp. Sean Kane is here with me this evening, and between the two of us, we can answer any questions that you may have in regards to this item. Thank you.
Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Director Carr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know that in previous conversations, we've been talking about the growing population of students who are, I guess, in need of alternative educational settings. And so I know the concern was presented that the space where Banner Prep is not appropriate for that population of students. And so I am going to approve of, or not approve, but support the decision to approve the administration's recommendation. But I wonder if we can continue to engage in discussions and possibly work together to find a more suitable space for Banner Prep. And so I don't know if that will require a motion, or if I should proceed with, again, approving the administration's recommendations. Like, what should I do? I'm sorry.
Madam Secretary.
Madam Chair, Director Carr, if I'm understanding you correctly, your request is to move approval of the administration's recommendation relative to the 4th Amendment lease agreement, and ask that the administration work with the Banner Prep community to determine a more suitable space for the program.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Peterson.
I'm curious what the Banner Prep people say about their space. I wasn't aware that it was inappropriate. Just before I vote on this, I'd like to know.
Thank you, administration.
Chair Herndon and members of the committee, there have been a meeting with Banner Prep to kind of talk through just some of these ideas around looking at additional space and their need for additional space. So that conversation has been had, and we're still in communications with Banner Prep at this time.
Thank you. Is there follow-up, Director Peterson?
No, that's fine.
Okay. Continuing on, We've got the motion. Is there any further discussion? Director O'Halloran.
Thank you. Just to be clear, so the conversations are continuing, but Banner Prep is interested in entering into this agreement for the next year because it looks like this is just the term for 1 year. Is that correct? Am I reading this? Am I understanding this correctly then?
Administration.
Chair Herndon and members of the committee, that is correct.
Is there follow-up, Director O'Halloran? Okay. If there's no further discussion, I'm not seeing any hands at this point. Will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Carr's motion to approve the administration's recommendation relative to the Fourth Amendment to the lease agreement with Banner Day Learning Corp. At 35th Street School property located at 3517 West Cortland, and direct that the administration work with the Banner Prep community to determine appropriate space for the program. On the motion as read into the record, Director Carr,
Aye.
Director O'Halloran,
Aye.
Director Peterson,
Aye.
Director Taylor. I wanted to make sure she, okay, she has logged off of the meeting as she had indicated, and Chair Herndon.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes. The motion passes.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. Next item, please.
The next item is item number 8. Action on monthly finance matters, authorization to make purchases, the report on change orders in excess of $25,000, the report on revenues and expenses, the monthly expenditure control report, the report on school funds transfers, the report on contracts under $50,000 and their cumulative totals, the report on monthly grant awards, and the acceptance of donations. The recommendation is that the board, 1, authorize the purchases, and 2, accept the donations as listed in the attachments to this item with appropriate acknowledgements to be made on behalf of the board.
Okay, will the administration please present this item?
Chair Herndon and members of the committee, this evening, we're asking for your approval of the monthly finance matters before you. Martha Kreisman is here with me this evening, and between the two of us, we can answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Okay. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Okay, I see no hands up. Madam Secretary, what is the, let's see, we're ready for the motion. Director Peterson.
I move acceptance of the administration's recommendation.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, what will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Peterson's motion to accept the administration's recommendation relative to the monthly finance matters, Director Carr,
Aye.
Director O'Halloran,
Aye.
Director Peterson,
Aye.
and Chair Herndon.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes. The motion passes.
Okay, Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item is item number 9, which is action on the award of professional services contracts. The recommendation is that the board authorize the professional services contracts as set forth in the attachments to this item.
Will the administration please present this item?
Chair Herndon and members of the committee, this evening, we're asking for your approval of the professional services contracts before you. Janina Dumchek is here with me this evening, and we're prepared to answer any questions that you may have regarding this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Director Carr.
I'll have to recuse myself due to the appearance of a conflict of interest.
So noted.
Okay, Madam Secretary, do we still have a quorum?
Madam Chair, you do still have a quorum on this item.
Okay. All right. The question still is, what is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? Director O'Halloran.
I move we approve administration's recommendation.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
On Director O'Halloran's motion to approve the administration's recommendation relative to the award of professional services contracts. Director O'Halloran,
Aye.
Director Peterson,
Aye.
and Chair Herndon.
Aye.
That's 3 ayes, 1 recusal. The motion passes.
Okay, Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item is item 10, action on the award of professional services contracts related to transportation. The recommendation is that the board authorize the professional services contracts related to transportation as set forth in the attachments to this item.
Thank you. Will administration please present this item?
Chair Herndon and members of the committee, we are asking for your approval of the professional services contracts related to transportation before you. Janina Dumchek is here with me this evening, and we're prepared to answer any questions that you may have regarding this item.
Thank you. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Okay, Director Peterson.
And just one question, what is the Milwaukee Academy? Hadn't heard of that before.
Administration.
Chair Herndon and members of the committee, we are now taking a closer look here, and President Peterson, if you could let us know exactly what page you are referring to.
Hold on.
Director Peterson.
I will tell you in a second.
Is that the professional?
Maybe I'm on the wrong document. I apologize.
On the last item.
Chair Herndon and
Yeah,
members of
I
the
apologize.
committee, it's on the previous item.
Okay, no need. I will figure it out. Apologize.
We
Okay,
can give the
thank you.
answer though.
I think Madam
Madam Chair?
Secretary
Chair
would make a
Herndon, members
decision
of
on
the
that.
committee.
Yes, Madam Chair, as the board has already, as the committee has already addressed this item, it is appropriate to provide that information.
It is
Chair
appropriate.
Herndon-
Go ahead,
Chair Herndon,
please.
members of the committee, Shelley Perkins, ESCA Compliance Manager. Milwaukee Academy is one of our Title I-D schools that we provide services to. That's one of our residential treatment centers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving right along. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Madam Chair, at this point, I don't have a motion.
Oh, how did we miss that? Director O'Halloran, could we have a motion, please?
I'm happy to make a motion. I was just curious if we could hear from administration for regards to the transportation costs. Just I assume it's increased. Is it in line with other inflation? You know, just can we hear a little bit more about the item before us? I know they're available to answer any questions, but I was just hoping for a brief rundown, given that transportation always seems to be a very hot topic with our parents and families.
Yes, administration. Could you
Director
provide
O'Halloran.
additional?
Yeah, Director O'Halloran, Chair Herndon, members of the committee, David Solik, Five-Star Director of Business and Transportation Services. The contracts before us are actually extensions that have built-in floors and ceilings for those terms. There is some contingencies in there for gas and some other components that allow us to pay with super high increases, such as the fuel that has been accounted for. But for the most part, I think we budgeted relatively static for the final year of our contracts. And we put into the contracts extra money for things like suburbans and mixed schools that we pay up front but receive funds back in reimbursement for.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director O'Halloran. Any follow-up?
No, I can make that motion now to approve administration's recommendation.
Okay, with that, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
On Director O'Halloran's motion to approve the administration's recommendation relative to the award of professional services contracts related to transportation. I see the administration's hand up. Is there more information that needs to be provided, Madam Chair?
Administration.
Chair Herndon and members of the committee, I'm gonna turn you back over to David Solfa-Ferrick. He omitted something that he needed to share.
Director O'Halloran, Chair Herndon, members of the committee, I'm so sorry. David Solik, Director of Business Transportation. To be more direct, there's a 2% floor and a 5% ceiling on these extensions. So we do put in those increases to cover CPI increases and cost of living increases. And we are at the upper threshold of those extensions, of course.
Madam Chair.
I'm sorry, Director O'Halloran, is that satisfactory or did you wish a dollar figure of some sort? Okay.
That's good.
All right. Sounds good then. So with that, we'll move right along. Are there more comments from committee? If not, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
On Director O'Halloran's motion, which moves approval of the administration's recommendation relative to the award of professional services contracts related to transportation. Director Carr.
Aye.
Director O'Halloran.
Aye.
Director Peterson.
Aye.
And Chair Herndon.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes. The motion passes.
Okay, Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item is item number 11. Item 11 is action on the award of exception to bid request. The administration is asking for a waiver of Administrative Policy 3.09 for the Brinks procurement to ensure continuity of service. And also asking for a waiver of that policy for the remainder of the procurements listed in this item because the services procured are one of a kind and competitive vendors do not exist. The recommendation is that the board authorize the exception to bid requests as set forth in the attachments to this item.
Okay, will administration please present this item?
Chair Herndon and members of the committee, we are asking for your approval of the exception to bid contracts. Janina Dumchak is here with me this evening, and we're prepared to answer any questions that you may have in regards to this item. Thank you.
Okay, do committee members wish to ask questions or make comments on this item? Okay, I see no hands. What is the pleasure of committee with respect to this item? Director Carr. Okay, I thought you were raising your hand. I need a motion at this point from someone.
Motion.
Okay,
Approval.
who is that?
I'll make a motion for approval.
Thank you. If there's not further discussion, will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Carr's motion to approve the administration's recommendation relative to the award of exception to bid requests. Director Carr.
Aye.
Director O'Halloran.
Aye.
Director Peterson.
Aye.
And Chair Herndon.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes. The motion passes.
Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item is item number 12, which is action on the award of exception to bid requests related to Employ Milwaukee, Inc. The request to waive administrative policy and issue the agreement is based upon the one-of-a-kind services this vendor is providing. The recommendation is that the board authorize the exception to bid requests as set forth in the attachment to this item.
Will the administration please present this item?
Yes, Chair Herndon and members of the committee. This evening, we're asking the board to approve the contract before you with Employ Milwaukee, Inc. The contract came as a result of a collaboration between the City of Milwaukee's Mayor's Office, Milwaukee Public Schools, and Employ Milwaukee, Inc. to work with male students ages 10 to 15 years of age during the 2022 summer youth program. This program will engage male students half-day Monday through Friday during the summer of 2022 during the half-day section. The program would also include youth leadership development activities to empower the youth to help them avoid delinquent type of behavior this summer. The program will provide alternate activities such as skills development and decision-making. This summer programs offers youth the tools to become community leaders and to collaborate and do great things throughout the city. This evening, I have with me Shatania Brown from Employ Milwaukee, as well as Earl Ingram, as well as Janine Adamczyk. And between the four of us, we can answer any questions that you may have in regards to this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Committee, do you wish to make comments or ask questions? Okay, the hands are up. I'll go in order. Director O'Halloran, then Director Peterson.
Thank you. I was just wondering how students would be recruited for this, and how they're made aware of this, and how we feel like it might be more interesting or attractive to students who might otherwise be enrolled in like summer academy. Like how do we get the students into the program that should be there, I guess is my question.
Thank you, Director O'Halloran. I totally agree. Director Peterson, your question, and then I'll turn it over to administration.
My question is a sort of similar vein, the number of students that the goal to serve, and where do the activities take place? I just add that I think it's from what I know, a very good program, and we need probably more programs like this. But that was my question. Those are my questions.
Okay, thank you. Administration, we're ready to hear the responses to those questions, please.
Herndon and members of the committee to answer Director O'Halloran's question as well as Director Peterson's question. The first question is that basically, how are we going to get this information out? We're going to make sure that all of our schools via the Thursday updates, as well as working with all of our school leaders that cover grade levels between 10 and 15, will get this information. And also we're going to be asking teachers as well as school leaders to make recommendations for the program. We are servicing 200 students, and we're going to service those 200 students at North Division High School.
Thank you very much, Director O'Halloran or Director Peterson. Did you wish more information? I see mouths. Okay, Director O'Halloran.
Thank you. I was just trying to think through in my head. Okay, can you tell me the age ranges again? Because I know like my kids are in a late start school, so school's going to be going on for a while. So for the early start schools, when does that? If I'm just trying to think through the timeline, if the announcements are going out in Thursday updates, like, does that leave us enough time, or are we going to have to consider alternative ways to make sure all the students are aware of it? Does that make sense?
Yes. Administration, what's being asked for here is details on communication. Sounds like for one. The other is the details on the timelines for the start and ending dates of the program.
Chair Herndon and members of the committee, as soon as we have already been talking this up amongst the our office here and all excited about it, but as soon as we get approval from the board, we are going to be making sure that we get that information out there right away. So we're looking at first thing on Friday morning to be pushing this information to families via the Friday updates that goes out to families. Also the Thursday updates that goes out to, we're a little late for Thursday updates, but if we will get it out in the Thursday updates. And then also Dr. Cotton will be providing emails to all of our principals and school leaders that will be passed along to all of our teaching staff to be able to make sure that our teaching staff gets that information out. And then our push messages that we have with our cell phone devices that we will get out there, and also on our social media platforms. So we will make every effort to make sure that our students are aware, and it's going to be basically a first come, first served basis. It's only 200 spots available. And if the numbers go over that, we will be talking to you about it again.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. Don't forget the media coverage, TV, radio. Director Carr.
I just want to say that I definitely appreciate this program, and it appears to be almost like a peer mentoring setup where the young adults will be working with the younger children. And I can also appreciate the emphasis on conflict resolution, mentoring, the team building, as well as public speaking. I'm very much so aware of the amazing work that's happening at Employ Milwaukee, and I love that you all are catering to the younger demographics as well as the older demographics through other programs. And so keep up the great work. I'm certain this is going to expand. It is also going to be placed in an area where there's such a high demand, and I can't wait to see this expand and flourish.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Director O'Halloran.
Do we have a motion? Do we need a motion? If we need a motion, I would be happy to move approval of the item.
Okay.
So noted.
Thank you very much. With that, I'd like to move the gavel to our Vice Chair, Director Carr.
So noted.
For me, I'd like administration to allow the people that he indicated that were seated, allow them to speak as to what their involvement is.
Vice Chair Carr and members of the committee. And before we get started, I omitted in opening to introduce, I called Mr. Earl Ingram's name, but I did not give you his workplace, and that was on me. 5:40 a.m. WAUK radio personality. So I'm gonna turn you over to Mr. Ingram.
All right, good evening, and thank you very much for the opportunity. Several months ago, like many of you, I got tired of watching young boys stealing cars, and I just constantly continued to see this happening. And I know that there were other people working on it, but I, as a lifelong resident of the city, soon to be 68 years old, I knew that there were other men like myself in this community who were born and raised here, who are going to die here, and who have not accepted what we see happening in our neighborhoods and in our communities. And so very seldom were our voices being heard. So I got together and a bunch of men of my demographic who are born here, going to die here, who don't like the direction that things have been going. And so we created Voices of the Elders. And that's men 60 and above who are going to be in direct contact with boys 10 to 14 years old, in mentoring, in teaching them direction and guidance. And that's the crux of what our program is. Voices of the Elders, men, we're going to be working directly and impacting the lives of boys 10 to 15 years old.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Administration,
Tanya
is there
Brown.
more? Oh, I'm sorry, Director Carr, continue on.
Administration.
I was saying that I'm Shaitania Brown, President and CEO of Employ Milwaukee. And we're really excited to be pairing with the City of Milwaukee and MPS and Voices of the Elders to bring this program, especially to younger folks. As Director Carr mentioned, we do a large Earn and Learn Summer Youth Employment Program, but that program starts at 14. And we're realizing just with everything, exposure to career pathways and opportunities need to start much younger. And so when we were approached to do it, we have all the structures, administration and things in place because we're putting 1,200 young people to work every summer. And so we were just excited to pull it together. We're excited about the potential. This is our pilot summer, and our hope is that, as I tell Earl Ingram, we need to knock it out the ballpark because we want to be back to bring more young people in and potentially expand into young women to get them at the table and participating in something like this, hopefully next summer. So thank you for the opportunity. We're excited.
Thank you. Members of the board, any more comments? Okay. Do I pass the gavel back?
Director Carr, continue on. I'm recusing myself on this item.
So noted. So Director Carr, I don't believe that you have the script. So at this point, we would need a motion. There is no request for public testimony unless there is more conversation by committee members. And I do see Director Peterson's hand.
Okay, after Director Peterson, I have a question, Madam Chair. Director Peterson.
Thank you. I want to thank everybody involved in this program. So I'm excited to hear about the 1,200 students that Employ Milwaukee has underway already, and hopefully we can continue to contribute and build up all the programs that you have. I'd like to make a motion accepting the recommendations of the administration.
Madam Secretary.
Yes, I'm sorry, Madam Chair. Director O'Halloran did make a motion to approve the administration's recommendation relative to the exception to bid request. So if you have a question, as long as there isn't back and forth dialogue, you don't need to pass the gavel. You can go ahead and.
Okay. I have a question, and I don't know if it was mentioned, so maybe it's for clarification. Can you walk me through the recruitment strategies again? Or I guess my specific question is, are we utilizing student email or the Infinite Campus apps to notify students of this opportunity and request for them to apply or sign up? Administration.
Chair Carr and members of the committee. That is something that as a part of the push messages that we can do, but it will be to the family, to the parent of the child. So yes, we can do that and we will do that for all young men in that grade range from 10 to 15 years of age.
Okay, can it be sent to the students also? Because I know a lot of times parents may overlook or may not catch it. The students can communicate with their parents. Can it be sent to everyone?
Chair Carr and members of the committee, yes, we could email all of those students as well. So that is something that we can do. I'm just not 100% sure how often some of our students check their email. It might be a week down the road. It might be each day. I don't know. But the idea, we can make that happen as well, and we will.
Thank you. Members of the board, any more comments? Madam Secretary, help me. What's the next step?
The next step would be to call the roll on Director O'Halloran's motion to approve the administration's recommendation relative to the award of an exception to bid request related to Employ Milwaukee, Inc. Director O'Halloran.
Aye.
Director Peterson.
Aye.
And Director Herndon has recused herself. Chair Carr.
Aye.
That's 3 ayes. The motion passes.
I pass the gavel back.
So noted.
Thank you so much. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item is item number 13, which is action on a request to waive administrative policy 3.09, parent 9, parent E, and to extend a contract with Eraldi Brothers, Inc. for a 5th year for leased refrigerated trucks. The request to waive administrative policy and to issue the contract for a 5th year extension or 6th year of the contract is to ensure that delivery trucks are available for next school year, as the delivery of the new trucks is expected to take longer than normal due to COVID-19 related supply chain issues. The recommendation is that the board authorize the request to waive administrative policy 3.09, parent 9, parent E, and to extend the contract for a fifth additional 1-year term as set forth in the attachments to this item.
Okay, administration, will you please present this item?
Yes, Chair Herndon and members of the committee, this evening, we're asking for your approval to amend the lease agreement before you with Eraldi Brothers, Inc. And we are happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Okay, do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions on this item? Seeing no hands, we need a motion. What is the pleasure of the committee? Director O'Halloran.
I move we approve administration's recommendation.
Okay, with that, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
On Director O'Halloran's motion to approve the administration's recommendation relative to the extension of a contract with Eraldi Brothers, Inc. for the 5th year leasing of refrigerated trucks. Director Carr.
Aye.
Director O'Halloran.
Aye.
Director Peterson.
Aye.
And Chair Herndon.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes. The motion passes.
Okay, Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item is item 14, which is a request to waive administrative policy 3.09, parent 9, parent E, and extend a contract with Oliver Packing and Equipment Company for a 4th year for the lease of the heat seal machines and food packing supplies. The recommendation is that the board authorize the request to waive the policy and to extend the contract.
Okay, will administration please present this item?
Chair Herndon and members of the committee, this evening, we're asking for your approval of the amended lease agreement before you with Oliver Packing and Equipment Company. I have Janine Adamczyk, and between the two of us, we can answer any questions that you may have in regard to this item.
Okay, do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions at this time? What is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? Director Peterson.
I move acceptance of the administration's recommendation.
Okay, if there's no further discussion of committee, will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Peterson's motion, which moves acceptance of the administration's recommendation to waive administrative policy and to extend a contract with Oliver Packing and Equipment for the lease of the heat seal machines and the food packing supplies. On the motion is read into the record. Director Carr.
Aye.
Director O'Halloran.
Aye.
Director Peterson.
Aye.
And Chair Herndon.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes. The motion passes.
Okay, Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item is item 15, the report with possible action on the MPS school nutrition program. This is an informational item, and although it has been noticed for possible action, no action is required.
Okay, will administration please present this item?
Yes, Chair. Chair Herndon and members of the committee, This evening, we're asking that you accept our school nutrition program report. I have here with me Mr. Omar Abdul, Director of School Nutrition, and he will be presenting a PowerPoint presentation at this time. Omar?
Thank you, Dr. Pelosi. Chair Herndon, members of the committee, this is Omar Abdullah, Director of School Nutrition Services. The slide that you're seeing now is the 5 priorities of success that guides us in all of our operations. The next slide lists the number of meals that we have served this school year. The table on the left-hand side is for the summer program, which was from July 1st through August 27th, for a total of 170,000 meals that were served. And on the right-hand side, you see those are the number of meals we served during the school year. We had 3.1 million breakfasts, $5.1 million, 1 million lunches, and 153,000 and 180,000 snacks in 2 different programs. And then we also served supper of about 11,000 for a total of 8.6 million meals this school year. This is a improvement from last school year, which we were in during the pandemic. Our participation rate was pretty low because of virtual learning. So we have made a big improvement. However, we are still up to 60% of our meal count compared to the pre-pandemic school years. Despite staffing shortages, we were able to increase the number of production kitchens from 12 to 22 during the school year. And we will continue to identify schools to transition back to the production kitchens that were prior to the pandemic. And on this slide, you see the schools that we have listed for next school year that we are planning to move them as production kitchens. I just want to mention that this will happen gradually as we hire more people. That's our goal. We want to do it as soon as possible. Throughout the summer, we will be working really hard with our HR team to hire and train new staff. And we will also, during the summertime, our team will explore, opportunities as to what else we can do to move these schools back to production kitchens as soon as possible. Next slide. On the next slide, we want to give you some information about meals quality and staff training. So in order to address meal quality concerns, nutrition services will focus on training current and newly hired staff during the next school year. And we are also in the process of hiring 4 chefs to create new recipes and teach culinary skills to our staff. In addition to that, we are working on implementing a new menu writing process starting next year, which means we will be able to increase the number of options that we are providing to our students. And lastly, on this slide, we will continue to engage students for food tasting and as we develop new menus and new items. Our operations manager, Renee Slatten-Beauchamp, will present the remaining slides. Renee.
Chair Herndon and members of the committee, Renee Slatten-Beauchamp, Operations Manager. As Elmer indicated, there's a new menu writing process that we put in place. And currently at our high schools, we're serving 4 entrees. And one of those entrees is a salad and also a vegetarian option. Going further for next year, we're looking at really diversifying our menus. With that, we're going to have more ethnic meals offered, vegetarian choices, and more choices of fruits and vegetables for our students. We're also looking at student input, including them in our menu writing process, and also sampling of our items, new items on the menu. With that, going through the schools at the high school level and elementary and kind of canvassing our students, asking for their opinions during the lunch hour. One of our other new initiatives will be kind of build your own. So we're looking at some salad bars and also like potato bars, and also hopefully do some breakfast kits that the students will be able to go through and do their own breakfast kits, build their own breakfast kits. So the next slide is our fresh fruits and vegetable program, and we have quite a robust program in our district, and we have 78 schools that receive this grant, and it's over $1.6 million. And we have been very successful, even with the pandemic, going through and offering this for our students to have some samplings of different produce. So the next slide is equipment is one of our main items that we're really looking at. And this shows kind of the steps for replacing some of that equipment. On step one, we work with our facilities department and we look at a sheet when we call them for repair. They look at to see if it is repairable, if there's parts available, and what the parts are going to cost and the labor to fix those pieces of equipment. When there is a score of 9 to 16 points out of about 30 points, then that's time to condemn that piece of equipment and replace it. So step two then is we have a pre-approved equipment list from DPI that we can go ahead and use our fund money on that. If it's not on the list, then we have to ask for approval before we can purchase that equipment. We also have to keep on file those approvals for when we are audited. And the last one is just following our equipment process, purchasing process. Next slide. So I did a survey in April, and this is the results of the survey. We had 60 pieces of equipment that were condemned in the district. So we're looking at having all those pieces of condemned equipment removed from the schools and purchase the replacement of that. And so the approximate cost is about $831,000 for just those 60 pieces of equipment. That does not include abatement if we do a walk-in freezer or any other installation costs. That's just kind of a rough guesstimate of purchasing that piece of equipment. Next, I'd like to kind of go over the meal planning procedure. Writing a menu for school nutrition is really difficult and it's very complex. There's 5 different components that have to be offered every day. It's fruit, grains, meat alternate, milk, and a vegetable. And on what this slide shows is the different breakdowns, such as vegetables. We can't just offer plain vegetables. We have to make sure that we have dark green vegetables, at least half a cup every week, a red green for 9 through 12. It's a cup and 1 cup and a quarter. And beans, we have to have legumes on every week, and starchy. So it comes to a total for our 9 through 12 graders. We have to have 5 cups of vegetables on in a week. And for our elementary to grade 8, we have to have 3 3/4 cup. So when we go through and we write our menu, we really have to look at these components and how they fit in. Now, students don't have to take all those components. With offer versus serve, they can turn down, but they do have to have a fruit on every day. So they have to take a fruit. But our menus have been certified by DPI that they do meet these requirements. And with those requirements, there are some other requirements, not just with those 5 components. We have portion sizes that we have to do, and those were the cups that I showed you. We also have minimum, maximum calorie requirements and fat requirements. We have to have saturated fat has to be less than 10%. And we have sodium targets that are issued. And if you've watched in the news, this has been one of the controversial things with USDA right now is to hold these requirements and not go to the next level of sodium requirements.
That concludes our presentation.
Thank you very much. With that, are there any comments or questions from committee? Director O'Halloran.
Thank you. For the production kitchens, I know it said that we've gone from 12 to 22 production kitchens and that we're identifying extra ones. And then I saw the printout. What were we at pre-pandemic?
Administration.
Chair Herndon, Director O'Halloran, members of the committee. The production kitchens prior to the pandemic, we were around 75 of our schools were production kitchens.
Okay, is there a follow-up? Director O'Halloran?
I may have follow-up, but I'm going to just chew on that for a minute.
Okay, Director Peterson.
I just wanted to thank the people involved. Every time I hear a report on the nutrition, I understand a little more deeply how complicated it is. And I'm glad that you're going to be surveying students during lunchtime. I know some of us have eaten lunch with students, and some students really like the food and some students don't so much. But there's a wide variety of opinions, I think, amongst students. And I know we've heard requests in terms of sensitivity to, cultural eating habits and so on and so forth. And I appreciate that was mentioned. So I look forward to continued work and continued reports and sometimes sample lunches when I'm visiting a school. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Director Peterson. With that, I'll pass the gavel to Director Carr. I have some questions.
So noted.
Thank you very much. I too would like to thank the nutrition team for the work they've done, but as Director Peterson stated, several of us did have lunches, and I'd like to go through the slides. There are some specific questions that exist related to some of the slides, and I'll hit them up in order. Number one, the list of schools to move back into production. Is that going to be a project that's going to be worked on directly over the summer?
Administration.
Chair Herndon and members of the committee, Renee Slotton-Beauchamp, Operations Manager. Yes, we'll be looking at that. We also are looking at, this is going to be a transition for the whole year. And we have to look at the staffing situation and to make sure we have enough staff that can accommodate that production. So as we hire more staff, we're going to specifically designate staff going to these schools so that we can put them into a production mode.
Director Herndon, follow up.
Thank you. The next question is the students doing the food tasting. Will that be something that may be kicked off like as immediately as school starts in the fall, that there would be food tasting? Do you think menus would be ready at that particular time?
Administration.
Chair Herndon, members of the committee, yes, our menus will be ready before the school year starts, and we can definitely schedule some food tastings with our students.
Director Herndon, any follow up?
Okay. The next question is related to the condemned equipment in the buildings. And one is a 4-burner stove. Would that be replaced with something larger?
Administration.
Chair Herndon and committee members, actually, we're looking at replacing it with some more modern equipment. Perhaps maybe it's called a tilt-in braising pan, that it's more versatile, so that we can use it more than just a stove top, that we can use it for other items as well. And it will be more energy efficient as well.
Okay. Next would be the meat serving size. That has been a huge problem that all of us, I'm pretty sure, have heard about from our young people, and that is serving sizes. And for me, looking at the meat serving at 2 ounces, is that something that's held firm where it's measured to be strictly 2 ounces? We're talking some of those kids, they're big football players or whatever, and they're saying this, the serving sizes they've received in the past don't cut it. Just that simple. And they were small. In my experience with the lunch, it was very, very small. And when I look at, you know, these athletes and that, and they're dependent upon having a lunch, how is that to be handled if these specific requirements have to be met?
Administration.
Chair Hurden and members of the committee. Actually, these are USDA requirements. So we are required to produce at least the minimum of this. However, if we extend it further, we have, as I indicated, the calorie requirement. So as if you add, we're kind of in a quandrum that if you add more food on, then you're hitting that max of that calorie and we go over that requirement. Plus we have to look at the sodium level of many of our entree items. So what we are doing is we're looking at the whole plate and making sure to make that appetizing to the students that they want to eat all the items, all 5 items that we serve, so that their calorie level is higher. So if they're just eating 2 items on their tray, then they're not getting all the nutrients that they should. So that's one of the things that we're looking at when we do the menus, is to really look at what is appetizing to the students and what will give the biggest bang for the buck, actually, type thing. But also then looking at maybe offering some a la carte items that are healthy alternatives that can be purchased to add and supplement those meals. And we do know this is USDA's, and sometimes those calorie requirements for that growing athlete is not actually perfect. So, and that is one of the challenges of that menu planning.
Director Herndon, any follow up?
Okay. I'd just like to say I had submitted some specific questions at the first SPB meeting in May, and I would like answers to those questions. I have sent them to governance again. I won't hold up the meeting tonight, but just to know that I'd still like answers to those questions. Thank you.
Administration.
And members of the committee, we will be happy to get those answers to you right away, Director.
Okay, thank you.
Passing the gavel back.
Okay. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Sorry about that, Madam Chair. That was the last item on tonight's agenda.
Okay. Well, thanks everyone for joining us tonight. And in that there'll be no further business before the committee, this meeting is adjourned.
Good evening.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.